The treaty kept our worlds at peace, but one queen shattered it not for war, but for me. She first saw me during the negotiation summit on Hylian Ix, a room full of power, silence wrapped in tension, and two species pretending not to hate each other. I was just a human interpreter, disposable, replaceable, but her eyes lingered too long, an unnatural shade of violet, burning through me like plasma. Queen Valith of the Tyri Dominion sat like a goddess sculpted from metal and starlight. Her armor shimmered with woven energy, molded to a body that looked more like temptation than sovereignty. She didn't speak when her advisors did. She didn't blink when our general laid down the terms. She only looked at me, like she'd heard a song only I could sing. I was not supposed to meet her gaze, but I did, just once, and the treaty fractured. That night, an unauthorized vessel hovered outside our diplomatic wing. No alarms, no blasts, just a pulse of violet light, a message, a summons. And against every order, every warning, every instinct I went. The inside of her ship felt like stepping into the breath between stars. Soft light, living walls, a scent I couldn't place like burnt ozone and skin after rain. She waited for me, her crown gone, her armor loosened at the throat, revealing more of that silver-marked skin. Her voice wasn't a demand. It was a whisper that curved around my spine. "You came," she said. "That means everything changes now." I asked why. She didn't answer. She just stepped closer. "Because I want to remember what it feels like to want, before duty devours me again." She broke centuries of peace for desire, for danger, for a human. If you're still here, don't blink now. What happens next isn't in any history book. Like this story, hit subscribe, and let the stars take you deeper. Asterisk. She touched my face not like a queen, like a woman starved. Her fingers were colder than I expected, then suddenly warm, as if her skin adapted to mine. She studied every inch of my reaction, as if memorizing the way humanity burns from the inside. "I signed a treaty with your leaders," she whispered, "but I made no such vow to my heart." And then she kissed me, not gentle, not cruel, like fire, in reverse, pulling the heat from my lungs, pulling the rules from my bones. When I pulled back, breathless, her expression flickered. Not power, not pride. Need. Double quotes. "Do you know what it means?" she asked. "When a Tyri queen chooses a human under treaty?" I didn't. She answered anyway. "It's considered treason, but I would rather be hunted than never taste you again." And right there, on a ship that should not have existed, between stars not meant for love, she reached behind her neckhand. The armor fell. I stared, stunned, as glowing tattoos pulsed along her collarbones, her torso wrapping like a promise, made in a forgotten tongue. Every line shimmered with heat and vow. Her body wasn't just alien, it was art, weapon, worship, and it was no longer behind any barrier. I stepped forward, not as a soldier, not as a diplomat, as a man who was no longer afraid. Her skin shimmered like the edge of a nebulous silver, violet, and impossibly soft where it pressed to mine. But it wasn't just beautiful. It was lying. Every mark on her body was a sigil, a bond to the Dominion, a curse of control. I could feel it now, each line a silent scream for freedom. Her hands, though, her hands told a different story. She held me like I was fragile, like I was rare. And for a queen who had commanded thousands, who had conquered systems with a flick of her will, she trembled when I touched her. We stood there, inches apart, the galaxy outside her ship's viewing chamber blurring in violet trails. Her breath hitched when my fingers traced the curve of one glowing mark that spiraled just beneath her collarbone. It pulsed under my touch, not mechanically, emotionally. I looked into her eyes and whispered, "Does it hurt?" "No," she said softly, "not when you touch it." She leaned in, pressed her forehead to mine. The Tyri did that only with mates. I'd read that somewhere in a debrief file. And yet here she was breaking rules one by one, melting her crown with every breath we shared. But this was more than just treason. This was surrender. She guided my hands lower, slowly, purposefully, not with hunger, but reverence. I saw it then. She didn't want to dominate. She wanted to feel human, not obey, not command. Just feel. You don't understand what you've done to me, she whispered. We were bred to suppress emotion. But since the moment you looked back at me, I haven't slept. I shouldn't be here, I muttered. You're a queen, and I'm your mine, she cut in. For tonight, or forever. That's yours to decide. She took my hand and placed it over her heart. Repulsive, it could be called. That was erratic, fast, needy. The symbol beneath my palm sparked as if reacting to me. I felt it vibrate. Beneath her skin, felt her chest rise into me. She gasped. I've never allowed anyone to touch the royal bond, she confessed. It activates only with choice, will, vulnerability. And then her body changed, not shape intensity. Her tattoos glowed brighter, her skin warmed faster. She exhaled, and her body hummed like living circuitry awakening under my presence. She had never let anyone in, not her council, not her guard, not even her own people. But she let me in, and I answered her with more than words. The bed wasn't royal. It was simple, soft, human-sized, as if made just for this moment. As she lay back and pulled me down with her, I realized she hadn't just broken a treaty. She'd rewritten one. Her lips found mine, again deeper now. Every kiss tasted like rebellion. Her hands pulled at my shirt like she'd memorized how it would feel to finally take something for herself. I kissed down her neck and felt her breath stutter, her fingers clenching around my shoulders, like the war was happening inside her now. She arched beneath me, whispering in Tyrian the words old, desperate, sacred. What does it mean? I asked, against her throat. Her response sent fire through my veins. It means, I've chosen to be yours, even if my empire burns. We moved like the universe had paused to watch. No more guards, no more rules, no translator devices. Just US skin on skin, alien and human, tangled in warmth, breath, and vulnerability. Every part of her body reacted to mine. Her moans weren't practiced, they were startled, as if she'd never known she could sound like that. I touched her where the lines glowed brightest, and her back arched violently, pleasure ripping through her like a solar flare. You don't understand, she choked, her voice cracking. I've never, not even with my kind. I know, I whispered, but you're safe with me. She pulled me tighter, desperate, searing. Her crown had made her cold. My touch made her alive, and when she came undone, she screamed my name, human syllables on alien lips, and something in the stars shifted. The room was still, silent except for our breaths, weaving in and out of each other. The stars beyond her window bled violet across her skin, still glowing from where I had touched her deepest. Her crown lay on the floor beside the bed, forgotten, but the moment wasn't over. It was just unraveling. Queen Valeth lay against me like a woman who'd never been held, her body molded to mine, her hand tracing lazy patterns across my chest like she didn't want the moment to end, or feared it would. They're already looking for me, she murmured, lips against my shoulder. By morning, the High Circle will know I breached protocol, that I summoned you, that I let you. She didn't finish the sentence. Her voice broke, too full of awe and guilt to find the words. You let yourself feel, I said. She stilled, and then she nodded. Double quotes. Do you know what they'll say? She asked. That I've betrayed my blood, that I let a human manipulate me, that I've doomed diplomacy for a single night of skin. I looked down at her. But I didn't ask you to do any of this. Her eyes met mine, no longer regal, but raw. That's why it mattered. She sat up, pulling the silk sheet around her. The markings on her back shimmered in the starlight like broken promises stitched into her skin. I reached for hers slowly, gently, but she flinched, just for a moment. Not from fear, from conflict. My kind doesn't marry, doesn't bond for love, only for power. But something happened when I touched you. She turned toward me, her voice shaking. You didn't take anything, you gave. I pulled her into my lap, pressing my lips to her shoulder. Then let me give more. Her breath caught. The silk fell away. She let me hold her again without armor, without title, without defense, and for the first time, I didn't feel like a human inside a Tyrian ship. I felt like hers. That night, we didn't rushed out, we remembered. She kissed my neck like she was mapping me. Her thighs wrapped around me not to dominate but to stay. I moved inside her slowly, as if speed would make the moment collapse, and she clung to me like I was the gravity she had never known. Her moans were softer now, controlled, as if she was no longer drowning in sensation, but choosing to feel each ripple of it. I watched her body, how it responded, how it trembled, how it bloomed open with each whisper of my name, my crown. She murmured between kisses, between gasps. What about it? I asked, brushing damp hair from her temple. She looked at me with something dangerously close to devotion. It never felt as heavy as it did when you took it off me. We lay tangled in silence again, her body stretched over mine like she belonged there, like she'd never ruled from thrones of gold and steel, but from the curve of my chest, the dip of my hip, the breath in my mouth. But time didn't stop for desire. Her communicator pulsed red on the wall. She ignored it. Then it buzzed again, louder, relentless. Authorities summoned her. Still, she didn't move. I touched her chin, turned her face to me. You have to go. She shook her head. I already did. I smiled, brushing my thumb over her cheekbone. Then what now? She swallowed. I could lie, say it was a setup, say you breached my ship, say I had to extract intel. I waited, but that would dishonor what happened between us. And if you tell the truth, they'll strip my title. They'll exile me. Maybe worse. Then don't tell them anything, I said. She leaned in again, kissed me slower this time, deeper. No, she whispered. If I pretend this didn't matter, then I never deserved you in the first place. And just like that, her crown slipped from the floor into her hand. She stood naked, glowing, brave, and put it back on. The Tyri guards entered with their plasma spears raised in suspicion in their eyes. Their queen stood at the center of the chamber, tall, radiant, and utterly bare beneath her ceremonial robe, which barely clung to her shoulders. Her crown blazed violet, her hair was loose, and behind her, I stood, shirtless, marked by her touch. The heat of our night still burning across my chest. Their fear was instant, because I wasn't just a human anymore. I was hers. The guards froze, caught between instinct and disbelief. One of them spoke in clipped Tyrian. I didn't understand the words, but I didn't have to. Their eyes said enough. Is this the invader? Why did she not destroy him? What power has she given up? Queen Valith raised a hand, silencing them. He is no invader, she said. He was summoned by me. A second guard stepped forward. My queen, the treaty forbids any contact of this nature. Your bond with him was my decision, she cut in. Her voice held steel now. And if the treaty breaks, it breaks. Because I chose to feel. Because I chose him. Their eyes flicked to me. To the glowing bond mark, still pulsing on her collarbone, activated only by true surrender. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. I walked forward and took her hand. Gasps followed. Weapons lifted. And then she did something even bolder. She stepped in front of me. He is not your enemy, she declared, her voice echoing like thunder across glass. He is your reminder that we are not gods, that we can ache, that we can burn. But your lineage, one advisor protested. The throne can be rebuilt. My soul cannot. They looked at her like they were watching a queen dissolve. But I looked at her and saw something else. A woman becoming. Later, when the chamber cleared and the protests died into distant murmurs, she led me to her private sanctum deep within. Her ship, beyond all diplomacy and danger. A place no human had ever seen. It wasn't grand. It was hers, filled with relics, artifacts, and soft glowing lights. And silence. She closed the door, locked it, then turned to me, breathless, fragile, still wearing her crown but not her mask. "They're afraid of you now," she whispered. I stepped closer. "But you're not." Her hand found my chest. "No, because when I touch you, I remember who I am without them." I kissed her again. It was different now. Not stolen, not secret. It was chosen. Her hands roamed me like the memory of last night wasn't enough. She pulled me down to the bed that shimmered beneath alien silk, and when our bodies met again, it was slow, reverent, trembling with the weight of everything we'd risked. She gasped into my mouth. "I thought I knew pleasure, but you teach me." We moved like we were rewriting history. My fingers traced the glyphs on her stomach, making her moan so quietly, so vulnerably. I almost wept. This wasn't seduction, it was awakening. She rode me with grace, not like a ruler, but like someone finally unchained, her head thrown back, hands gripping my shoulders, hips rolling with ancient rhythm and brand new hunger. She leaned down mid-motion, kissed my jaw, and whispered, "If they exile me, I'll build something with you. Not an empire, a life." Her words undid me. I flipped her gently beneath me and kissed every inch of her skin, making her scream not in power but in release. She wasn't just breaking rules now, she was becoming something divine, and she pulled me closer again until our pulses matched and her eyes rolled back, glowing as she cried out into the galaxy. We lay wrapped in each other, her body warm, trembling, sacred in my arms. "I don't want to be a queen anymore," she whispered. "Not if it means giving you up." I kissed her temple. "Then be mine." Silence. Then her voice, quiet, fierce. "I already am." They came at dawn. A Tyree command ship, dark as a black hole and nearly as silent. No warning lights, no weapons drawn, just presence. I watched from the balcony of her private quarters, the planet's horizon cutting gold and indigo beneath us. She stood beside me, fully robed again, regal, poised, but changed. Her crown didn't sit heavy anymore. It was tilted, as if even it had grown tired of tradition. "You don't have to go out there," I told her. She nodded anyway. "Yes, I do." Her hand squeezed mine tight, trembling hand, then she let go. Not because she wanted to, because she trusted I'd still be there when she returned. The tribunal stood in a ring of light, alien judges, political vultures, her former advisors. They saw her, not as a ruler, but as a traitor. They asked about the broken treaty, about the human in her bed, about the ancient mark glowing on her skin, bonded now, permanently, to mine. She didn't lie. She didn't beg. She said 4 words that lit fire in their cold bones. "He is my choice." And the galaxy shifted. They declared exile, no throne, no titles, no voice in the dominion. She accepted it without flinching. But when they offered her one last condition, the human must return to Earth, alone, she looked them dead in their eyes and said, "No." There was a pause. Then chaos. Weapons buzzed. Alarms flared, until something ancient inside her glowed. The glyphs on her skin pulsed brighter than I'd ever seen, blinding violet, wrapping her in energy. Her voice rose not just in protest, but in command. "If you exile me, then exile all that came before me. The empires, the bloodlines, the crowns. I choose freedom. I choose him." And then silence. No attack, no response, just a final decree. "From the tribunal, then go." Let the stars judge what you've become. That night, we left Tyree space behind. Her ship stripped of insignia floated like a ghost between galaxies. But inside, she was no ghost. She was real, raw, reborn. We lay on the floor of the main deck, stars streaking past the dome above us, her head on my chest, my fingers in her hair. Nothing between us but heat and the kind of silence you choose. You don't regret it? I asked. She looked up, eyes soft but alive. I gave up a galaxy, and you'd do it again. I gave up power. What I got back was myself. I rolled over her slowly, kissing the hollow of her throat, the edges of each glowing line. Her legs wrapped around me in instinct and invitation. She welcomed me in like I was the only home she had ever known. She whispered my name like it was prophecy, and I moved in her like it was gospel. This wasn't rebellion anymore. It was communion. Her body tightened beneath mine, her hands gripping my back, her mouth open in a soundless cry as we found the edge together. We came undone like stardust, like galaxies collapsing, like empires falling not to war, but to love. And in the afterglow, she pulled my hand to her heart. "You're not my weakness," she said. "You're my truth." We drift now, not as queen and subject, not as alien and human, but as something new. Every night, she curls into me like the stars belong on her skin. And every time I kiss her, she sighs like gravity only works when I'm near. We didn't rewrite history, we escaped it, and in doing so, we found the one thing no treaty could ever offer us: the end.